I feel like there's no company that hates its own user base more than Nintendo. It feels like every decision they make outside of game development decisions is always so bafflingly evil for no reason. It feels like they go out of their way to spit in the face of the people that play their games. You know how, like, the Heart Attack grill, you get spanked by your waitress if you don't finish all your food? That's Nintendo. They spank you for just wanting to enjoy the games they produce. There's just a laundry list of awful things Nintendo does for seemingly no good reason. Like, for 20 years now, they've been locked in a war against the Smash Brothers community, just going full scorched earth and randomly shutting down grassroots tournaments left and right for 20 years, even though it's just a gathering of people playing their game at a high level. Like, that's not hurting anyone. Nintendo's made another wildly awful decision that goes against the community that enjoys their games, and I want to get very deep into it because it's one that I'm extremely passionate about. It's, again, them on the Smash Brothers scene, but this time, they're not alone. Nintendo had an accomplice, and in fact, the Nintendo sidekick may have actually been the greater villain in this story. As most of you know, Moist Esports started in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate with Cola, so it's obviously a community I'm super passionate about. And it's been a community that's been severely neglected and run by Nintendo for 20 years now. They've shown no support, and they've actively gone out of the way to shut down tournaments. They don't actually contribute anything to the professional scene in any capacity whatsoever. They're very hands-off, and they really don't seem to like professional Smash Brothers, and never have. But not too long ago, Panda, which is an FGC organization, they're not just in Smash, but they're mainly known for Smash, they announced that they're partnering with Nintendo for the first time ever. Nintendo is directly partnering with a organization to put on high-level Smash tournaments. Everyone was excited, everyone was celebrating, like, holy, Nintendo's finally getting involved. It looks like they're finally going to support the professional Smash scene. This is amazing. I was one of those people. I thought that was super hype. I thought that was great for the scene. Fast forward to today. There is something called the Smash World Tour, which is a labor of love put on by the community, mainly VGBC, Video Game Boot Camp, and it's reaching its conclusion. The Smash World Tour is by far the biggest Smash tournament that has ever happened, like circuit-wise. So the Smash World Tour is what people have been competing for an entire year. It's about to wrap up, and right before Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving, VGBC gets a notice from Nintendo that they have to shut it all down. They get a cease and desist. A classic Nintendo maneuver. They basically invented cease and desist. They would cease and desist a 4-year-old's birthday party if you had a Mario plushie there. They are ruthless. So at the very end, our players, for example, already had flights ready for Smash World Tour here. Like, everyone was fully in. Like, everyone thought it was still happening. Everyone on the organizer side also thought so as well, until the day before Thanksgiving, they said, nope, no siree. Because Nintendo refuses to allow, like, grassroots tournaments or anything like that. Yet, this came out from VGBC, where it is revealed that the Smash World Tour did have the nod from Nintendo. While they didn't officially license it or get behind it in official capacity, they were in direct communication the entire time with Smash World Tour. They were talking directly to Nintendo. They had their blessing, albeit not a fully licensed blessing, but they had their permission to run that while they also ran the Panda Cup, which is their official one in conjunction with Panda. And then out of nowhere, they got this. They got absolutely slapped. They had to shut it down. So they made the announcement today that the Smash World Tour it's dead. And then they have this in here, which seems to be that it was a Panda decision, not so much a Nintendo decision to do this. While Nintendo is obviously at fault, this paints a picture of the head of Panda, his name's Alan, wanting kind of like a monopoly on Smash. Since now he works directly with Nintendo, it seems like he wanted to strong-arm himself to being the only official tournament, and all of the other ones he was trying to scare and intimidate and threaten with shutdown. So I wanted to read this with all of you, because it's bad. It's a terrible look. This is a terrible look if all of this is true. And it seems like it is because one of the BTS Beyond the Summit TOs, one of the head TOs, came out to confirm that what was said in here is accurate about Alan, Panda, the head of Panda, being an absolute supervillain here. So it's looking like there's a lot of evidence to point to this being like an honest explanation for how the Smash World Tour ended up going from being okay by Nintendo standards to being wiped on the pavement, like actually curb stomped. So I just wanted to read this and then go over it a bit more. That's kind of like the cliff notes to speedrun the lore on how we got here. It's an absolute shame because the Smash World Tour is just, it was an incredible thing. Highest prize pool for the whole circuit, the biggest circuit ever done. It's international, so they had talent from all across the world competing, and it was finally going to wrap up in a massive, extremely fun way. And then all of this happened. Tragedy. So here. Around the same time, Panda Cup began heavily recruiting events for their circuit. The CEO continued to tell organizers we would be getting shut down shortly, and also added that any events that participated in the Panda Cup would not be allowed to be on the Smash World Tour. This exclusivity surprised us not only because of our Nintendo conversations regarding coexisting, but also because we were not exclusive, and even back in January we told organizers that they could be on both with zero issues from us. This is in reference to the Smash World Tour. Smash World Tour said that, hey, you can be part of our circuit and also be anywhere else you want to be. Totally fine. Very pro-community. Panda, not so much. At first, Panda targeted events that were not on the Smash World Tour, including those who did not join because of the aforementioned warnings. A few of those events had broadcast deals with popular tournament broadcasters like Beyond the Summit, and the CEO of Panda wanted broadcasting rights to be included as part of the deal of these events joining the Panda Cup. Most of the events refused to break their contracts, so Panda approached Beyond the Summit directly to try and get the rights released. BTS had very little motivation to give up the broadcasting rights for free, so they declined to get involved, causing the CEO of Panda to escalate things quickly, and we were told that he made a variety of threats to Beyond the Summit, including shutting down their entire Smash organization in 2023 if they didn't eventually join Panda Cup. After BTS held firm, the CEO of Panda warned that they would get Nintendo directly involved, putting broadcasting rights for all tournaments in jeopardy. So, this is the CEO of Panda, Alan, twirling his evil little mustache and his greed getting the best of him. So like Mr. Krabs with dollar signs in his eyes, he says, if you don't join us, we're going to get Big Daddy Nintendo, whom we're sucking the ass of, to shut you down. And that's exactly what's happened to the Smash World Tour. Now, this does call into question, will all grassroots big tournaments now face the wrath of Panda and Nintendo? Are they going to bully every single grassroots one? Or only the ones they deem a threat, like Beyond the Summit or VGBC? That I have no idea on at the moment. Panda hasn't commented as of right now, but it's pretty bad. Now, I think it's very important. Like I said, they weren't officially licensed with Nintendo, the Smash World Tour, but they did have like open communication where it was kind of like a wink wink, this is okay kind of thing. Like, we know about it, we're okay with it, go for it, we can coexist. But only one of them was officially licensed by Nintendo, and they never had a problem until it seemed like Alan had a problem. So, absolutely tragic for the community. No, like, there is a big Nintendo thing here, because if they would just support the community besides just going with, like, the Panda Mafia, this would have never been an issue. This would have legitimately never been an issue to begin with. But, because they're so deeply in bed with Panda now, I guess Alan's whispering in their ear about, like, his competition that he's not happy with. At least that's how it reads. And he's made threats, which, again, have been confirmed over here, even outside of this document. This is a totally different organization. This is BTS that's confirming the same things that VGBC stated. So it seems like he just went on a bit of a rampage. Now, I think there is also, I've seen this theory tossed around, I think there also is a reality where the CEO of Panda tried to puff out his chest and, you know, flex on the community that now Nintendo's backing them, so trying to scare Beyond the Summit. But Nintendo never listened to him, didn't take him seriously, maybe viewed him as a clown. But he was so bad to work with that maybe Nintendo just got soured on the whole experience of being in the pro scene, that they're shutting everything down, and once they're done with the contract with Panda for their Panda Cup, maybe they never touch it again. I think that's also a very real possibility where Alan didn't influence their decision to shut everything down by telling them to. He influenced it by just being miserable to work with. So they were like, we're just going to shut everything down and go nuclear. I think that's also possible. So we're boycotting the Panda tournament? I personally am, yeah. Uh, One other thing that I just learned about from the subreddit, I think it was Leffen that brought it to light, and Moki also confirmed, when you got invited to the Panda Cup, you had to sign an exclusivity contract confirming that you will be going. That you absolutely will be going. So they made you sign a contract commitment. Hate to say it, but players should find a new game in esports org to stop supporting the Nintendo. Yeah, I've seen that take as well. It's not even a bad take. Like, it is so hard to defend Smash at the pro scene, at like pro level, when Nintendo can just freely do this and openly does it pretty often. And now you have like an inside man here at Panda, Alan, who is actively going against the community as well. Like, it's just a mess. Does this mean light is dropped? What? No, we're not dropping any of our players or anything. What? No. What this means is our players that were going to the Smash World Tour Championship are no longer, because it doesn't exist now. Nintendo and Panda shut it down. Now, like I said, Panda still hasn't made a statement. Alan hasn't said anything. Maybe they have a different view of these events, but it's been confirmed by two very reputable sources. And I did have a call with VGBC, like everyone on board, as well as SmashCon, that also echoed these same things about Panda in particular and how this all happened with the Smash World Tour. So I did know this was coming at some point today. I just didn't know it was this bad. The only tournaments are Panda and you're boycotting. How will you keep the Smash players signed? Well, it's not just me, man. No one wants, like, assuming all of this is true, which again, there's a lot of evidence to point to it being accurate, no one's going to want to compete for Panda. And like I said, since we still don't know if this means they're going to shut down all grassroots competition, it seems unlikely they would. There'll still be other tournaments, but there's not another tournament with the same level of competition that the Smash World Tour offered. So it's still a huge blow regardless. And since everyone already had their flights and everything booked, it's a massive financial burden as well for players. Of course, Moist Esports paid for all of that, so luckily that doesn't affect our players personally, but not every player in Smash is signed. In fact, most of them aren't. So they probably just lost a ton of money booking all of this and now having to cancel. So you just lost a ton of money. Yeah, well, that's esports in a nutshell. Like, it is what it is. I'm just more upset about our players not being able to compete at Smash World Tour. I don't feel we know the truth yet. Like I said, we still need to hear from Panda and Alan in particular, since it seems like it's mainly Alan. We still need to hear from them. I just don't see a world where somehow every other major org had the same experience here. With Alan in particular. I don't see how that could somehow be like a smear campaign, a lie. Like, none of that really checks out, especially because there was direct communication with Nintendo the entirety of the Smash World Tour, until all of a sudden, they decided to cancel it out of the blue, or cease and desist it out of the blue.
Think I'm being dramatic? You might want to keep listening.
Like I said, that's still uncertain, but it's not impossible. There is still no telling if all of grassroots organizations will be shut down by Nintendo going forward because of this whole Panda thing, or not, we don't know. But it is possible. It is very possible.
Because you've seen a video about 10 people getting really upset about the ice climbers, which I uploaded, and it's one of my most viewed videos.
A classic video to be sure, but he's also neglecting to mention where you've also probably seen it with the Salty Smash moments. Salty Smash moments have like 60 entries now, and they're all golden. I still think Smash Rage is some of the best in all of gaming. It's so huge. It's such a massive explosion, and it's always enjoyable. So not just the Ice Climber moments. Salty Smash moments in general, I think most people know.
Now, Alan has been running Panda and also wanted this.
Real quick, let's double check to see if Alan has said anything. Since, again, he is the one that's kind of named and shamed in the document. Let's see if he's come out with his side of the story, or if that's going to be a little bit longer in the oven, cooking that up. Still nothing. His most recent one is, Peach being a baller was my favorite. Talking about the Nintendo Direct Mario trailer. Any minute now, though, he might drop some heat.
Canceled. Why? Well, their event is officially licensed by Nintendo.
First time ever,
now,
by the way.
on the surface, you might just think to yourself, well, okay, Nintendo licensed this one, but didn't license this one. It's Nintendo back at it again. They just don't understand the community, and they decided to go with one event, even though they should have gone with both. Now, it's not a shocker that Nintendo would cancel an event. It's happened many times in the past, usually to large public outcry that sometimes overturns their decision. But this is not as simple as...
Wait, when has that ever happened? When they canceled Big House, there was a massive uproar, and I don't think they ever overturned that, did they? Wait, when has Nintendo ever overturned their decision in the history? Evo 2013 is the last time they overturned their decision. Almost 10 years ago? I'm just surprised it's ever happened even once.
And the way it's worked for 20 years is that we have kind of just run tournaments and done our own thing and got no help from Nintendo. And Nintendo makes games and movies with Chris Pratt and does their own thing. And we don't mix.
That's not true. They mix sometimes, but always negatively. They will usually just step in and say, don't do that. We're shutting you down right before it starts. Like, instead of shutting something down at the inception of it, they wait till it's about to happen. It seems so mean, like almost done on purpose. Like, they will wait for like the week before the event is supposed to happen, be like, actually, we changed our mind. You guys can suck our nuts on it. Shut it down. No, really, shut it down.
But recently, Nintendo has been getting into the habit of approving events, licensing events, like the Panda Cup. Now, people were a little nervous about that because they thought, well, okay, maybe this is a bad thing because if they're licensing events, what will happen to the events that aren't licensed? Are those events going to suddenly get canceled? No, we thought back in the day when we were young and naive.
True. I am guilty of that as well. I really thought so.
Yes. Any event that's not licensed by Nintendo might just get outright canceled. Well, apparently, what was happening is Alan, the CEO and co-founder of Panda, was going around to different tournaments that were meant to be a part of the circuit, different regional organizers, and saying, hey, just so you guys know, you guys are organizing an event, and it's supposed to be part of the Smash World Tour. I would not personally do that, because that event is going to get shut down, and they're not going to come back in 2020.
God, such a rat. Such a rat.
Which is kind of a weird thing to do. And those Nintendo directs or execs reminded them that Nintendo is not shutting down anything unless it infringes on IP with game mods, and that the...
For those that are unaware, that was the main reason they shut down Big House, because it's Slippy. Slippy is a mod on an emulator, and they were very upset about that. It's to play Melee on an emulator, so that way it's like actual great netcode with rollback. Nintendo wasn't having it, so they shut it down and blamed game mods. But in this case, it's just playing the actual game. It's just like actually playing the base game, normally all above board, by the numbers, by the books. So they couldn't fall back on that, and they're just straight shutting it down because it looks like Alan doesn't want competition and wants a monopoly on tournament hosting. Panda players are all coming out as blindsided. Well, obviously the players had no say-so. They didn't know Alan was going rogue behind the scenes like some kind of espionage agent trying to sabotage the community from the inside. Like, how would any of the players know that? Clearly, all the players are on the community's side. They didn't have any hand in Alan making these outrageously stupid decisions here.
The CEO of Panda escalated things and made a variety of threats to be on the summit, including threatening to shut down their entire Smash operation in 2023 if they did not join the Panda Cup. Beyond the Summit held firm. They said that the CEO of Panda warned them.
Great move from Beyond the Summit.
Involved. My dad works at Nintendo, says Alan. He will seriously mess your up if you don't work with us. You have to work. You have to be my friend. And the person at Nintendo directly told them those times are over.
Yep. A bold statement.
There's no longer a way to run Smash events unless they are licensed by Nintendo directly.
It's not 100% confirmed. Like I said, that's not like put in the books. It's not etched in the tablets of time yet. It seems like that might be the future, but VGBC as well as like SmashCon do feel optimistic that grassroots tournaments will still exist, and this is more just an Alan thing that forced Nintendo's hand. Like, he pushed them to it. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Either way, though, fat L for Panda and Nintendo, obviously. But Ludwig hasn't mentioned it yet. I mentioned it. I'll mention it again. It's not like Smash World Tour was doing this without Nintendo knowing. Like, this was even beyond the normal understanding of we'll do this and look the other way. Nintendo was aware this was happening and gave them like the okay that your Smash World Tour can coexist with our Panda Cup. They knew about it, and they were okay with it for this entire duration, until the very end here. You think Nintendo will say something? Absolutely not, but Panda will have to. Panda will say something. Nintendo will never once address this in the entire history of the company's career or lifetime. They never do, never will, but Panda's going to absolutely have to. Panda is an FGC-based organization that is such a tight-knit community. Even if you don't play Smash, all of their Panda players are going to be questioning if staying with them is the right move for optics, because the FGC is just so intertwined with each other. So Panda's going to have to. Nintendo never will. I am very curious to see what Panda says. Be surprised. You might be surprised. They just might if it's this big. I just don't think so. I don't see any world where Nintendo addresses something like this. Nintendo addresses an impersonation account that tweeted out a picture of Mario giving them the finger. But they won't address like actual things like this. Did they ever say anything about the Big House uproar? Because that was a big one. That had a whole lot of community pushback, a whole lot of community outrage. I don't think they ever said anything. I guess maybe this could be different since they're directly involved with Panda Cup. I could possibly see it. But even then, I just doubt it. I just really doubt it. I really feel bad for all the Panda staff, players, and casters caught up with this and no communication. Of course, you have to. The community seems to understand that the players and Alan are two very distinct, different camps within Panda, as well as like staff and casters. Like those are so far removed from what Alan was doing with his mob protection racket of you should join because, well, you might get shut down if you're unlicensed. You know, just might be a little weird out there. Might be sleeping with the fishes if you're not in Panda Cup. Like that is an exclusively Alan thing.
Because someone at Panda, aka Alan, was strong-arming a connection he had Nintendo to shut down any event that was not his own.
For what it's worth, the idea of having one true circuit in and of itself isn't a bad thing. If it's backed by Nintendo, that's not a bad thing. What's bad is the fact that he is actively going out and intimidating all the grassroots ones and actually like shutting them down. That's the problem. Like, having a fully sanctioned, like, authentic circuit is a cool thing. Like, the one true Nintendo-backed cup that means the most. That's a cool thing. But you don't need to go and just start, like, beef stewing all of the grassroots ones that built the community in the first place.
Am I going to be able to run a Smash event in the future? Every single Smash...
Should this be the case where the times are truly behind us, where Nintendo will not allow grassroots to happen... Yeah, Lud would never be able to run another, like, Lud Invitational, which is a shame, because that was a great event. That would be the future of it. You might have locals, I think locals would still exist, but anything with viewership, Nintendo would probably shut down.
Smash event I have run has...
If Smash does that, I think the Smash esports scene goes away. Yeah. I think it would absolutely vanish. I don't see how it would survive. If all of the grassroots majors and everything get shut down and only Panda Cup is left, no one's going to want to watch it because of this, and none of the players are going to want to play in it because of this. Like, it really would probably ruin the whole scene. Does that just hand the player base to Multiversus? I don't know where they'd go. There's nothing direct, like a direct successor or anything to Smash. There's other games that are similar, like you have Multiversus, you have Brawlhalla, Rivals of Aether, but none of those are like Smash. They're not one-to-one. I don't know where they'd go.
That the people who are running the Smash events aren't exactly rich. In fact, the only way to get rich is to leave the Smash scene. Something I've always known.
That is so true.
A few people who have spoken out.
Yeah, that is so. In esports, it is well known amongst most of the orgs that going into the FGC is just like financial hemorrhaging. You don't make any returns in the FGC for the most part, save for some like very rare cases of like actual superstars that become like a bit transcendent of the FGC. But as a whole, that is a community of pros that don't actually make the orgs any money. So when you see an org in there, I always have respect, because it's like, okay, they're there because someone in that pipeline likes that game, likes that community, likes that space, because they're not making off it. They're not making anything off it. FGC means fighting game community, yeah. Fighting game community is FGC. I am curious, though. Where do you make that hoopla? In 2013, Twitter wasn't nearly as big. So where did that outrage reach? How did Nintendo see it? Because they don't really see Twitter or anything. They ignore like everything on Twitter. A great example of that is Pokemon Scarlet Violet. All of the bugs, glitches, and everything. Nintendo has never publicly acknowledged how broken that game is, like in the state that it's in, like with the performance problems and everything. But they are issuing refunds because they know it, but they're not addressing it. So where do you get their attention to make them actually address it? Does it have to be Twitter, or do they have like something else? I really don't know. And in 2013, I don't think it was Twitter. It had to be like Facebook or something. It had to have just gone like crazy on Facebook. Got to be actual news outlets. Yeah, but I don't think, especially not in 2013. I highly doubt New York Times or Wall Street Journal was writing about Smash Brothers at Evo. So I don't think it was actual news outlets. It was a breast cancer charity, and we donated $100K in total. So was it the amount of money the Smash community was able to raise to get like the attention of Nintendo? Is that what it was? Not so much the like outrage, just more so here's how passionate we are, and here's what we're doing to show it that got their attention? You talk like 2013 was the Stone Ages. It was super different. Like, it really was. 2013 internet was a completely different landscape than what it currently is. And it's not even close. Because like I said, I don't feel Nintendo actually looks at anything that's on Twitter or anything about their brand anywhere. Like, I don't know how you'd even get their attention. You'd need Alan. You need Alan to have a change of heart and be like, guys, I thought, hey, this is on me. This was a stupid decision. I thought, can you please let Smash World Tour happen again? This was dumb, and I may have just sank my whole company. Just toss me a goddamn bone, please. Like, you'd need someone on, like, the actual inside of Nintendo here to try and, like, lobby for it. Need the Phantom Thieves, bro. True. Without Smash, there would be no Moist Esports. Full stop. It is a community I'm very passionate about, so I also hope we can salvage this situation. What about Rocket League? No, I'm saying, like, if Smash didn't exist, like, the Smash Pro scene didn't exist as the grassroots organizations it's always been, there would have been no Moist Esports. I'm not saying, like, if this all goes through, I'm shutting down Moist Esports. I'm saying it wouldn't exist had this decision been made, like, 2 years ago. Yeah, awful situation though, man. I really, really hope there's some kind of positive conclusion to this. I just don't even know what that would look like here because I have no faith in Nintendo themselves. I don't know Alan well enough to know if he'll do anything positive here. I really can't imagine what he'll say, but I very much would like to see the Panda side come forward with this situation. It's insane that people just want to play the game. I know, I don't get the war that Nintendo wages on grassroots orgs. Like, you don't make money in the Smash scene. They're not even profiting off your IP. They're doing it because they love the game. The whole pro space is net loss across the board, except for like your top tier pro players who make like a big salary or have like external brand deals. But like, they're not, like, these tournaments aren't like stealing your IP and profiting from your tournaments they run. They just lose money on it. It's just such a weird war, and it gets people talking about like Smash Ultimate, like that they still sell Smash Ultimate for $60. I just got it for Tiana for Black Friday, and the deal that they were doing for Black Friday on Smash Ultimate was $9 off, so $51. Like, they're still selling it at almost full price, and having these tournaments puts it in people's minds and like, oh, like, this is cool. Melee is 20 years old now. Like, there's just no reason they should even be bothering to, like, try and enforce that, because it's a 20-year-old game. Just let people play it how they want. It's not like Nintendo's making tons of money off Smash Melee. Makes no sense. And Ultimate, like, it's only good for them. They are not making money from running these tournaments off the back of your IP. Nintendo doesn't like adults playing their games. I know, isn't that crazy? I don't even know if it's necessarily adults playing their games. They just don't like their games to be competitive. Like, that's not a secret. They openly say they don't really like that their games are competitive. They just want to be fun party games, which they are, but they also do have a layer of depth that makes them fun competitively. Like, I don't know why you can't just have your cake and eat it too. Okay, while I was tinkling, I saw something very interesting on Twitter. And this time it wasn't just more OnlyFans promotions. Check this out. Now, it comes from a source I legitimately couldn't have less faith in being reliable, but this is still something worth noting. So, according to Kotaku, they said after giving the same deep consideration we apply to any potential partner, this is a spokesperson for Nintendo, which I don't think that exists to begin with, but I digress. We were unable to come to an agreement with Smash World Tour for a full circuit in 2023. Nintendo did not request any changes to or cancellation of remaining events in 2022, including the 2022 championship event, considering the negative impact on the players who are already planning to participate. So they are claiming, the spokesperson that is, that Nintendo did not cancel Smash World Tour. I don't really know if I believe that, though. Would that then mean it was somehow all Alan who then told the Nintendo rep that isn't this guy to tell Smash World Tour to cancel it, and Nintendo themselves had no clue? I don't really know what this means. This is Kotaku. I think they are extraordinarily unreliable in very, very many situations. But this is worth keeping in the back of the mind. I would be far more inclined to trust the Smash World Tour statement since they'd been in direct contact with Nintendo for so long. And this is a Kotaku source, nameless spokesperson. I guess in like the most generous of interpretations of this information, what could be happening is Nintendo backpedaling and like, no, we didn't want them to cancel it. They can still do it for sure, please. That's possible, I guess, but I even find that much to be unlikely. What's going to happen to the players sponsored by VG Bootcamp like AMSA? VG Bootcamp's not going away. They've lost the Smash World Tour, and also Glitch Double Down are also canceled, but it's not like that whole company is folding or anything. Like, they're not dead. I guess he thought people would think his claims have authority and never question it. I guess. I have no idea. Things a bit cranky. Do I think there'll be an apology video? No. I don't know Alan super well. My guess, though, based on this behavior, he's going to come out with something like the truth, or it's time you know what really happened, and use all kinds of deflectionary techniques to placate all of this. That's my guess. I don't think he's going to own up to it or take any responsibility or shed any real light on the situation. 2 minutes ago, a short follow-up regarding Nintendo's response. Okay, so this is fresh. Here. It is about the Kotaku thing we just pulled up. Didn't expect to address this, but Nintendo's response via Kotaku has been brought to our attention, and that's what I already showed. We're unsure why they're taking this angle, especially in light of the greater statement and all that it contains. And then here's the original statement. We received this statement in writing from Nintendo shortly after our call. It is Nintendo's expectation that an approved license be secured in order to operate any commercial activity featuring Nintendo IP. It is also expected to secure such a license well in advance of any public announcement. After further review, we found that Smash World Tour has not met these expectations around health and safety guidelines and has not adhered to our internal partner guidelines. Nintendo will not be able to grant a license for Smash World Tour 2022 or any Smash World Tour activity in 2023. To be clear, we did not even submit an application for 2023. The application was for 2022. Nintendo, including all 2023 activity, was an addition we were not even expecting. In our call that accompanied this statement, we asked multiple times if we'd be able to continue to operate without a license as we had in years past with the same unofficial understanding with Nintendo. We were told point blank that those times are over. They followed up the call with their statement in writing, again confirming the 2022 championship and 2023 activity were in the exact same boat. I trust that far more than the Kotaku source. If they want to take this stance, though, then how about Nintendo tomorrow come out and say, actually, there was a misunderstanding. Smash World Tour Championships should continue as planned. And then they just reschedule the date. I'm sure players, while they will have lost a lot of money, will appreciate the chance to continue to compete at that level in that tournament. If this really is how they feel. But this, I think, is absolute nonsense, considering this is what Nintendo's actual stance was during their conversation. Do you think it's them backtracking after the pushback? No, I think this is just blatantly lying. Like, I think whoever they talk to here has no clue what they're talking about. I don't know who Kotaku got in contact with, but I don't trust the source at all. Imagine this kind of drama happened in a League or Counter-Strike tournament. Oh my god, the community would lose their sh. If it happened in Counter-Strike in particular, Counter-Strike has like a tournament every hour. If all of a sudden Valve's like, actually, we're gonna step in, but we're only doing one major a year. So all the other ones, get that shit out of here. We're gonna do the one Valve major a year, and all of the other ones, illegal. That'd be the end. That'd just be the end. Smash World Tour, unjustly shut down. An absolute sin, an affront to God. It was a very awful thing that happened recently. The Smash World Tour, the biggest circuit the professional Smash Brothers scene has ever seen, biggest prize pool, and it was supposed to happen in a couple weeks, but the night before Thanksgiving, the tournament organizers got an email from Nintendo that basically implied it needs to be shut down. Now they came out with their statement, and it also implicated an organization named Panda as being an accomplice to Nintendo. In fact, perhaps even the main big bad raid boss behind the scenes that had a history over the last year of them working with Nintendo of trying to strong-arm other tournaments into joining the Panda Cup circuit, which was a competing circuit. And the CEO of Panda, his name is Alan, he made these threats to other organizations when they wouldn't join him, saying, it'd be a real shame if this got shut down, if Nintendo had to get involved with your unlicensed event. You sure you don't want to join Panda? You positive? It's safe over here. Suckle on our bosom. We'll keep you safe. And he'd just make these threats. So, when Smash World Tour got the bad news, they blew the lid on Panda, specifically Alan's behavior. Not really Panda as a whole, it was focused on Alan. It's been 2 days since that bombshell, and now we finally have a statement from Nintendo and a statement from Panda. And they're both so weak. They are pathetic. They're pitiful. Very wimpy stuff. They basically keep saying that what they did is they didn't accept their license. They said that they didn't meet the criteria for their health and safety regulations, which is so weird. Like the health and safety rules they were saying Smash World Tour didn't meet, so they couldn't grant a license for. And I have to wonder what that means. Like, what are the health and safety things? Like, they provide a venue, they provide everything a human being needs to survive, except, like, bulletproof vests, I guess, just in case things get rowdy. Like, I don't know what they expect. It's not like Panda Cup does anything special in that regard. So it seems like a bunch of nonsense. Because of COVID or something? Well, even then, that still wouldn't work. Oh, this is part of Panda Cup. It's even branded on Panda Cup's YouTube page. Yeah, you're right. Regardless, it doesn't seem like this would be the cause for the health and safety concerns about the masks. Yeah, it looks like masks aren't required. Like, Breezy wasn't wearing a mask here. So, I don't think it's like a mask thing. I don't think it's COVID protocol. It just seems like they looked for any excuse imaginable to slap Smash World Tour down or not give them the license. But yeah, they basically... So they tried to, like, wipe their hands of it and say, no, we're pretty innocent here. We didn't grant them a license, but we said they could still run their tournament. Which is a little misleading, because since Smash World Tour was directly communicating with Nintendo, the statement was the days of unlicensed events is over, that time is over or something, that time is gone. I can't remember the exact quote. And also, this is the biggest load of dog I've seen all day. Nintendo cares about Super Smash Bros. Fans and its community very much. We hope to continue to hear their passionate feedback. That was so baloney that my voice cracked even reading it. My vocal folds couldn't even get through that sentence without some kind of hiccup in there. Absolute Nonsense. What a load of dirty barnacles. Nobody cares less about the Smash Brothers scene than Nintendo. The amount of times they'll pull their pants down just to drop their ass on it last minute to shut things down is baffling. And this is a statement coming on the back of them shutting down the biggest one right before it happened. This statement boils down to Nintendo saying, it was a misunderstanding. We didn't grant them a license for 2022 or 2023, which is a weird thing to say because Smash World Tour didn't ask for a license for 2023. They didn't submit an application for that. So this is truly coming out of nowhere. And then they said that they verbally let them know that they weren't requiring they cancel the finals because of the impact it would have on the players. Which is not exactly faithful to the events because they made the statement verbally that the days of unlicensed events or whatever, that time is gone. So by declining their license for 2022, the implication is, okay, so we can't do this. You're going to shut our down. Which is how this all happened. So it's just not a very strong statement from Nintendo. It doesn't really shed light on anything other than their incompetence and inability to work with the community or clearly convey messages and information. I'd like to briefly explain this a bit deeper. So, Smash World Tour throughout the circuit was in direct communication with Nintendo and had their unofficial blessing to continue. It wasn't an official license or a partnership like that, but they had like the nod of approval to continue without intervention. It was something they were completely okay with having the Panda Cup and the Smash World Tour run at the same time. And it was all well and good until it got stinky. The Nintendo representative they were communicating with verbally told them that the days of unlicensed events and tournaments were days that were now behind them, and then they received in writing a notice that they were not receiving a license for the Smash World Tour. Thus, connecting these two dots leads them and anyone with a brain to believe that they are being shut down, which is something Nintendo has done before with Big House, and in a pretty similar way as I understand it. So that's how Smash World Tour got axed by Nintendo. And the statement from Nintendo about what they verbally said to the tournament organizers isn't actually accurate to what was conveyed to them. They received entirely different information from the representative, and in the Smash World Tour official statement about the situation, they debunk that claim. What they say contradicts Nintendo's statement. And of course, it's a huge deal because the Smash World Tour is the biggest tournament the Smash scene has ever had, and it's going to cost the tournament organizers thousands upon thousands of dollars out of their own pockets, as well as the players that were attending. So it's just a big disaster. This Panda one, it would have been better if they actually just printed a blank document with the Panda logo at the bottom. I stole that little comment there from someone down here. I don't want to scroll too far because I saw Council of Cox earlier on Twitter and now I'm a little afraid. Someone edited this, and it was just a blank page with this logo, and that was a better response. This is so trash. It is so trash. They suck their own dick. They talk about, like, oh, you know, we provide the, you know, resources, expertise to help with a lot of majors. We're really community-focused. We want to build the best community ever and the best events. And there's no greed on our side. We just want Smash to ass. Like, that's what we want. And then they very briefly, very flippantly acknowledge that their CEO went full-blown, like, Winter Soldier over here. In the Smash World Tour statement, there are a number of accusations leveled against Dr. Allen, the CEO of Panda. In reality, Dr. Allen, as Nintendo of America has corroborated, has been one of the more vocal supporters of the broader community and the Smash World Tour organizers in internal conversations. However, the Panda Cup team does acknowledge and regret an interaction between Dr. Allen and Beyond the Summit. That's referring to the now very public threat that Allen made against Beyond the Summit, saying if they don't give him broadcasting rights or join Panda, he might have to get Nintendo involved and shut them down. I'm paraphrasing a bit, but that was the overall message he delivered. It was posted by one of the tournament organizers from Beyond the Summit, and they're acknowledging it briefly, in which he spoke in a manner which did not reflect either guidance from Nintendo or our own standards. Panda took efforts to rectify the situation immediately, and in the second half of the year, a dedicated team made up of multiple staff members was assembled to manage Panda Cup activities and serve as a primary point of contact for event runners, removing the possibility of future miscommunications from occurring. The fact that they label that a miscommunication and not a blatant attempt at strong-arming the grassroots organization is... And that's the only acknowledgement they have of that, this whole soap opera. This was not the only time Dr. Allen had done this. Other orgs came forward as well. Other TOs came forward. Golden Guardians also talked a little bit about Dr. Allen in another tweet, and they just kind of brush it off with no sympathy or any care whatsoever. And then they finish it with Panda Cup team has invested thousands of hours towards making sure this year's cup has been as strong an offering as we can provide, and we look forward to continuing to build alongside the communities we serve a promising future for Smash. And there's no future for Panda. So most people are abandoning ship from Panda right now. IBDW, who's one of the top 3 players in the world for Melee, is now a free agent. It seems like most Panda players are abandoning. Like, this is sinking. Like, this is a disaster. I don't know how this group goes forward anymore. It seems like Panda's kind of dead now from the actions of their CEO. And in none of this did they make any kind of clarification or talk about their involvement with these less than appropriate business actions. Instead, they just default to gargling the asshole of Nintendo, saying, look at what Nintendo said. They're right about it. That's what happened. It's just a misunderstanding. It was about licensing, and Smash World Tour just, we never wanted to shut them down. We were surprised as you guys. We were shocked. We couldn't believe our eyes. Even if Panda is dead, can Grassroots still operate due to Nintendo now? That we don't know. I will say, I should have left their statement up so we can go back and forth. I will say one thing from this statement that gives me some sense of optimism, though I know this is misplaced because it's Nintendo and their motto is we rub our ass with optimism. They made this statement. Even to the point, oh wait, whoops, almost highlighted the wrong one. Oh, it's the first sentence here. We are open to partnering with other organizations and will continue to offer licensing for major tournaments outside of the Panda Cup. Christ. It was so unbelievable my eyes couldn't even register it when I looked back on it. Yeah, so that statement right there gives me some level of hope that they seem open to working with the community. But that's, of course, just fluff. Until they prove that, I have no reason to put any amount of faith in the statement. That could just be there for some corporate pandering. Then why didn't they license Smash World Tour? Exactly. The health and safety concerns of the fans, I suppose. I don't know. It literally means nothing. And they say it's important that the partner adheres to brand and IP guidelines and conducts itself according to professional and organizational best practices. Meanwhile, they partnered with the Smash Bros. Mafia with Allen at Panda Cup. Like, this is nothing. This doesn't make any sense. If they're open to partnering with other orgs, Smash World Tour was literally the most reliable and most well-respected. VGBC has the most goodwill in the entire community. Well, on par with, like, Summit. Beyond the Summit. If the issue was health, why would they not say, hey, this is the issue, fix it? I don't know, because they probably couldn't think of anything. like, what do you mean? The health and safety of fans at a Smash Bros. Tournament? Like, the worst thing that could happen there is someone passes out from extreme odor. And that's, like, it's not like Panda solved that problem or anything. Like, there's nothing. They didn't have anything. And for what it's worth, when I went to Low Tide in person, it really didn't smell bad. In fact, I was probably the smelliest person there because I hadn't showered in the last 24 hours and was about to go on a 20-hour road trip and had already spent 4 hours in a car. I was probably like the Methodist that blew through. So I don't know if that stigma is still around. I don't know if that's like normal where it doesn't smell like... Couldn't tell you. But when I went, it really wasn't too bad. Yeah, the Smash World Tour is canceled, and there's really nothing they could do to like make it happen now. It's way too late. This happened the night before Thanksgiving and only a couple weeks out from the championships. Like, there's no way they could put it on anymore. But that brings us to the next point. Ludwig came in here slinging a little bit of meat. So, Ludwig said in response to the Panda and Nintendo lackluster, or in response to the Nintendo and lackluster statement from I just had a glitch there. In response to Panda and Nintendo's lackluster statements, Ludwig is hosting his own impromptu tournament, hoping to pretty much overshadow Panda, take some wind out of their sails. So he's doing a big prize pool, and he's invited the top 8 from the Smash World Tour rankings. That, of course, includes Light. Unfortunately, Cole is not top 8. I think he's number 10, so he didn't make the invitation, which is a shame, which he would have for Smash World Tour. But it's still great that he's doing this, regardless. The new Smash World Tour statement directly contradicts Nintendo. Oh, I know, I already mentioned that. What Nintendo and Panda is stating was not the reality of what Smash World Tour was told, nor what they received in writing. So it's nothing from Nintendo and Panda. They've done a terrible job. Yep, that is the reality of the situation. Alan got greedy, wanting a little monopoly on Smash tournaments, or at least, at the very least, a Smash circuit, and in doing so may have burned his entire company to the ground. Because Panda, without their players, and without players to play in their tournaments, they have nothing. There's always going to be someone willing to accept to play. I would agree with you in any other scene, but Smash Bros, you get like actual lollipop sticks for a prize. So it's not like there's a huge monetary incentive to compete. The reason you compete is because you want to be the best, or you want to support your local scene. And if you don't like the org that's putting on the tournament, it's not like you have a big incentive to go there and play for 15 bucks. Like, you're not going to bother if you don't like that company. Over the last year, Smash has been eating good from their tournaments, with people like Ludwig, Summit popping off. Like, they've had big prize pools, but that's not the norm. That is far from the norm. 3 days ago, I made a video talking about Nintendo being an evil, soulless corporation, as well as out-of-touch, archaic, and just downright goofy for the way that they treat online content creators like criminals. Most recently, they issued 2 strikes to a YouTuber named Penguinz0 because he made videos on Breath of the Wild that featured modded content. And in the eyes of Nintendo, that is a sin more unforgivable than murder. So they threw the book at him. They were coming with the meat. They tried to give him the business. They issued 2 strikes, and it wasn't just modded content they targeted, by the way. They also just targeted other videos as well on other games. A lot of it did feature mods, but some of them were just vanilla gameplay videos that they absolutely had a conniption over. Nintendo for a long time has historically shown that they hate their fans and absolutely despise when people play their games or enjoy their games in ways that they didn't plan for or in ways that they don't approve of. So for Penguinz0 showing mods and having fun making content around mods, they, started screaming bah humbug and shaking their fist at the clouds, and then hired their legal team of assassins to do as much damage to him as possible. And if it was up to Nintendo, they probably would have publicly hung Penguinz0 to make an example out of him for daring to play their games in a way they didn't intend for people to play them. Would have had him face the firing squad. The reason I'm even mentioning all of this before talking about today's story is because it's only been 3 days and Nintendo has already upped the ante on how evil they can be and how unbelievably cruel they are. Like, they made, I made a claim in that video that they don't listen to the community, they don't care about, negative reputation that they have or community backlash. They don't listen to it, they just kind of brush it off like it's just, little squeaking dog toys that they can just ignore. They don't care what the people are saying, they're not listening. But now, I'm almost convinced they must have heard what the community was saying about how evil they were and said, oh, you think that's bad? Well, watch this. And then they went even harder into degeneracy. So, what they've done, or what was revealed to the public today, is that they have completely ruined a man's life. And I'm not exaggerating. They are putting a man in debt to them for the rest of his life. There's a guy named Gary Bowser, and I'm not making this up. This isn't an alias. His name is Gary Bowser. This sounds like fanfic. This sounds like the plot to the new Mario Bros. Movie. Like, it actually sounds made up, but it's real. Gary Bowser was working with a company called Team Executor. They were a hacking group that would hack consoles for profit, and one of their biggest products was for Switch. They would basically jailbreak the Switch and they'd sell it and make money off it, and Gary Bowser was one of the prominent members of this team, allegedly. And a couple of years ago, he got caught, and he served 40 months in jail. His time in jail is coming to a conclusion now, and he's about to be released, but he's not off the hook yet. In fact, he's on to an even deeper hook. one that is going to be a life of servitude to Nintendo, because they are coming after him for an additional $10 million plus that he will have to pay back over the course of the rest of his life. He is going to have to forfeit 25 to 30% of his income every single month to Nintendo until he can pay off his $10 million plus debt to them, because he was part of that hacking group. That is a legitimate, life-ruining obligation that he will have to fulfill. Now, I want to make it clear, Gary Bowser is not a hero. He is not a saint. He was part of a group that was knowingly breaking the law for profit. He wasn't doing anything, just. He wasn't some, holy figure, breaking the rules for the benefit of everyone. They were very much in it just to make money off of all of this. He knew it was wrong, and what he's done is illegal. But I would argue spending 40 months in jail is punishment that fits the crime. I don't think they needed to add on an additional generational debt that he and his grandkids wouldn't even be able to pay. Now, of course, his family's not going to be obligated to pick up the tab on the $10 million plus that he owes when he dies. But you get the point. The amount of money that Nintendo is forcing him to pay back over the course of his lifetime is one that could never be fulfilled by him and his kids working and his grandkids working and maybe even his great-grandkids working. It is an absurd punishment. Once again, I understand what he did was wrong and he's not a good guy, but this is just beyond excessive. Nintendo is a multi-billion-dollar corporation that's now faced one random average guy in particular, forcing him to pay back a debt that he will never be able to repay. That $10 or $14 million means absolutely nothing to Nintendo. They wiped their ass with that amount of cash. Meanwhile, that means that Gary Bowser will never be able to live a normal life. He's going to be constantly paying this back forever. He's going to die with negative $10 million to his name. He won't even be able to afford a coffin to be buried in. It's just so far into the realm of lunacy here. And I actually imagine Nintendo celebrating this victory with handshakes all around and then laughing at the misery of Gary Bowser, who now has to send 25 to 30% of his income to this company every single month, where once again, I imagine once they receive those checks, they throw it right in the trash can and forget about it, because that amount of money is completely meaningless to them. Anyway, the situation is wild, but this is kind of the story, the general overview of it. I went over it more on stream, so I'll just play some clips of that. You honestly couldn't have scripted a better story, but it's real. And he had been sentenced to jail. Nintendo actually pursued action against him. He had made, I think, $300K from all of his, hacking. And he spent 40 months in jail, and he just got released. And now he's going to have to pay 25 to 30% of his income every single month to Nintendo for the rest of his life. And he will still not be able to ever pay that off. So long, Gary Bowser. Pretty sure chat made that joke when we talked about him 2 years ago, too. Which is still a fire joke, by the way. So he's paid $175 of his $10 million plus debt. So he's chipping away at it. He's making progress, ever so slightly. They wanted to send a message to other Switch hackers. It was a very significant moment for us. It's the purchase of video games that sustain Nintendo and the Nintendo ecosystem, and it is the games that make the people smile. It's for that reason that we do all we can to prevent games on Nintendo systems from being stolen. Heroes. You guys are such noble saints. Thank you, Nintendo. Ensure that this man will never live his life without the fear of Nintendo down his neck. And then also, while you're at it, why not strike a few more YouTubers who make videos on your games? You guys love to make people smile. The company just got a fine. They didn't lock up and throw in the slammer every single person there. Meanwhile, Gary Bowser, he got the book thrown at him. He got the wood. It must have been something personal, because his last name is literally Bowser. I have no doubt Gary Bowser got into hacking the Switch specifically because his last name's Bowser, so he's like, I'll do it. Might as well. I'll fulfill my namesake. 100%. Successfully argued that Bowser and Team Executor had caused Nintendo to suffer $65 million in losses due to console hacking software and devices used to play pirated Nintendo Switch games. I don't recall that. $65 million from the console hacking software? I gotta be honest with you, Chief. That seems like a bunch of baloney. I don't know why the number 300K keeps popping into my head. Maybe that's what Gary Bowser personally stood to gain, or personally gained from all of this. Or maybe I'm just way off the mark, but I really thought, or I vividly remember, like a report saying he had made like 300K from it all. But who knows? That could be wrong. So, okay, so that is what he made for himself. He himself made 300K. I saw someone on Twitter say that they would honestly fake their own death in this case. Dude needs a new dust filter for his Hoover Max Extract Pressure Pro Model 60. True. He's gonna need a Hoover Max ASAP. Does he even have a job? Well, he's just now getting out of prison after spending 40 months there. And he had a job in prison where he paid off $75 of his debt. So I would wager a guess he doesn't currently have a job. He's probably still hunting for one. It's very rare that I have anything positive to share about Nintendo. I've been a very outspoken and harsh critic of this company, not because I don't like the games. In fact, I think they make some of the most fun games ever produced, but the company itself is just run by out-of-touch dementors that love to suck the fun out of everything, going out of their way to be evil, shutting down Smash tournaments, spitting in the face of all of their fans, and they're just archaic. They're like 20 years late to everything. They're probably still learning what email is. I'll scream this from the mountaintops every chance I get. It is downright criminal that they're charging for the Nintendo Online service when it is unforgivably horrible. It's a joke. It's laughable. It's worse than dial-up, and you still have to pay for it. Point is, I have on Nintendo more times than a dog on the floor during potty training. But today, I have a very positive story to share about Nintendo, and more specifically, the Nintendo Switch. Recently, a child had been abducted by a predator, and thanks to a Nintendo Switch that the child brought, authorities were able to track her down and rescue her. I know Mutahar just posted a video about this story as well, but I couldn't help but talk about it too, given how harsh I've been on Nintendo in the past. I do want to highlight when they do some good things, like in this story. So what happened here is a 14-year-old girl met a 28-year-old man named Ethan Roberts on Omegle. The two started talking and eventually exchanged nudes, and Robert traveled 2,000 miles from Arizona to her hometown. Eventually, he kidnapped her, took her back to Arizona, and coerced her into meeting strangers on Omegle to sell them nudes via Snapchat. She was immediately reported missing by friends and family, and a large investigation took place trying to find her. They had boots on the ground looking for her throughout the area, putting up flyers, doing everything they can to try and find her, to no avail. Until one of her friends saw that she was online on her Nintendo Switch. She had booted it up to watch YouTube videos and download a game. So her friend alerted authorities, obviously, like, hey, she just logged in on Nintendo Switch. So the FBI pulled the Nintendo Switch's IP address after getting cooperation from Nintendo, so they subpoenaed the information. They had Nintendo fork over everything they had about the IP address of where the Switch was coming from, and the FBI was able to swoop in and save her from Ethan Roberts, the Omegle pedophile. Now, this is something that is mentioned in the article no one really even thought of, because someone's getting kidnapped, you're not really expecting them to have their phone or a Nintendo Switch, a portable game console with them. But apparently what happened here is Ethan Roberts let her keep her Switch in order to stay entertained, and didn't realize that since it connects to Wi-Fi, it can be tracked easily. So one of her friends just noticed that she had logged in, like she was online, and was like, hey, this is definitely something interesting, I'll report it to the authorities here, and that's how they found her. Like, that must have been like the craziest revelation from her friend, like, oh wow, she's on her Switch right now. That must have been like in RuneScape when Zezima goes online and like everyone's eyes get like wide, like holy. Just the simple checking in the Nintendo Switch friends list saved her. And it's still just so baffling how this all unfolded. Super lucky, like very, very fortunate that she had her Switch, because most of the time in a kidnapping situation, they don't like have their phone or anything that has an internet connection, which makes it very difficult to find and save kidnapping victims. But in this case, she had a flare. She had like a perpetual bat signal that was just posted up with her location, but authorities didn't even think to check it. It was her friend that just happened to be on the Switch and saw she was online that noticed it. So that was a very lucky break that they took notice and reported it. I guess Ethan Roberts just assumed that since the Switch uses outdated hardware, that it can't be traced. The Nintendo Switch is locked to 30 FPS on games. It can hardly even play mobile games. I mean, there's no way it even connects to the internet. It's probably just a cup with string on it. It's so old and archaic. It doesn't even use real technology anymore. It's totally off the grid. No one's going to be able to trace a Switch. That's fine. Dude thought the Nintendo Switch was like some kind of encrypted device or something, I guess, or just the hardware was so old and obsolete that it was untraceable. I have no idea, but really fortunate that he allowed her to keep that Switch so she could be traced and saved here. Obviously, the Nintendo Switch connects to the internet, meaning it can easily be traced. Now, Ethan Roberts has been indicted in federal court on multiple charges, including child pornography and transportation of a minor with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, and after a plea deal, he was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison. Personally, I don't think 30 years is long enough. I believe that should have been an even harsher sentence, but I'm not the judge. I didn't swing the gavel. But overall, this is a big W both from the FBI and Nintendo here. Nintendo did directly cooperate, and the FBI did act very quickly, actually, all within 11 days. And Nintendo was very quick to cooperate. They gave all the information necessary in order to track the IP and save the child's life. So just wanted to give a little positive story about Nintendo doing a great thing here, and that's really about it. So yeah.